Pound.
In a world,
Shut the hell up.
where Carolina Panthers fans
Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding.
have an insatiable thirst
I need to see a lot more of that shit going forward.
for Panthers news and opinions.
All my C3 brethren from the C3 Legion.
Only one podcast roars ferociously.
The longest running Panthers podcast on the internet.
It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Oh, Greg, I owe y'all $100, man.
There are no quick fixes, according to Dan Morgan, and the Carolina Panthers have to make a lot of improvements both through free agency and the NFL draft. But do they have potential going into 2025? Tonight's C3 Panthers podcast, how much potential do the Carolina Panthers have in 2025? We'll be talking free agency. We'll be talking playoffs. We'll be talking Panthers, and get ready. The professor bringing that ice. It's the C3 Panthers podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective each and every week. I do it with my wheelman, Cody Lack. How are you doing, my friend?
Tony Dunn, I have a dream that in the year 2025, the C3 Legion will witness playoff football involving the Carolina Panthers. I have a dream together with Dan Morgan, Brant Tillis, Bryce Young, and the rest of the C3 Legion. Maybe we can make that come true in this next year. Tony Dunn, welcome back to the C3 Panthers podcast. Nowhere I'd rather be on a Tuesday night than sitting here with my boys talking Panther football. You already know we got the best damn Panther fans in all the internet hanging out in the chat room of yours truly. Man, you already know them and love them. We got our boys Joey the Blind Panther in the building, the brand ambassador DZ Skills. What's up, brother? Jake in the building. John B. Jenkins. What's up, brother? Panthers Warsaw. Let's go. Muscles Marinara Paisan. What's up, dude? The Cardiac Cat 13. The Hope Dealer in the building, and your bastard son, White Chocolate Espresso. Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The number is 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. We'd like to get your thoughts on the Carolina Panthers 2025 potential. Where they're going to be looking in free agency, and we'll be talking a little cap and just NFL news in general. CK will be joining us shortly. Thank everybody that's listening. Smash the thumbs up button, subscribe, be a friend, tell a friend, as Pat McAfee would say. We could really we really need your help in these times where, the news cycles are slower than usual. And fortunately, it is a slow news cycle for the Carolina Panthers because they're not doing any head coaching hirings. In front of one of my friends runs a Jets podcast. He's reaching out to me, and he wants to talk about some old potential candidates that were associated with the Carolina Panthers. And I thought, man, well, at least he's got something to talk about on his podcast, but I'm glad we don't have that to talk about on our podcast. Cody Lack, we got to get it. Let's get into this Panthers news right here.
Let's do it, man. So tonight, the title is How Much Potential Do the Panthers Have in 2025? And we're going to start to look forward to this new year and some of the things that the Panthers are going to need to do in order to be competitive again. But let's do some housekeeping, as they say. Tony, let's go around just the most relevant recent news, and let's jump into it, man. How about this? More changes from David Tepper in the front office, and a shakeup that I think a lot of Panthers fans have been calling for a long time, Tony, whether or not we knew this dude's name or not. Changes to the Panthers health and performance staff. Head athletic trainer Kevin King and health and performance and nutrition director Andrew Altoff have been fired. Now, Tony, I feel like the past couple seasons in a row, we've had multiple times throughout the season where we're like, well, what the fuck? Do we just have more injuries than everyone else? Why are we so injured in comparison to other teams? We're always dealing with a ton of injuries. A lot of people have called out our sports department and our athletic trainers. Maybe there's some improper training practices. I don't know. My question to you is, what do you make of this? And do you think that maybe this is because of those injuries that the Panthers have sustained so many times over the past few years in a row.
I feel like this has been a moving target for the Carolina Panthers for a long time. I feel like every season, and I don't know, we'd have to go back and do the research, is that every season there has been some sort of shakeup and strength and conditioning, this and that. So, like, hey, we don't even know these people's names, but I know one thing is that nobody has necessarily been pleased with how many injuries have plagued the Carolina Panthers over the last 5 years or 6 years going forward. So, hey, is this surprising to me? No. Also, big shout out to Justin Davenport, old friend of mine from high school, also one of the greatest spades players in the history of the world. He says, not a fan, brother, and think they don't stand a chance talking about the Carolina Panthers. But I like the podcast. So, hey, not a Carolina Panthers fan.
This is honest.
Great spade player. All right, look, is this – nothing surprises this is that, look, haven't injuries been look, they've been an excuse for – a lot of different reasons, right? You think of the defense this year. You can think of problems on the offensive line last year. You can go back to Christian McCaffrey and all of that stuff. I don't know. Is like this is one of those things. I don't know how we even chalk up. How do you even assess if these people are doing a good job, bad job, or like, you know what I'm saying? And
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, judging of how many injuries we've sustained, that's the only thing that we really have to judge off of. We're just so battered and beaten up, most of the time that it's like, I'm happy that changes are being made. I'm hoping that this is what is in order for us.
Kev says, fire the grass. Maybe we need to fire the turf. Oh, hey-oh. David Tepper won't want to hear that, though, because we got to get that music back to Charlotte, thankfully. Thank David Tepper for that. Yeah, I mean, look, there's no reason for this to not be valid. It's not like, oh, man. And I would wonder, I mean, it would be interesting. We'll have to do some digging in the offseason. We have a lot of time, and that is, like, are the Panthers really prone to injuries, or is this like, do we just feel that way because we follow the team?
Well, I don't know, man. I feel like there's always an element of luck that goes into every season. How healthy you stay.
Yeah.
But then I think there's proper and improper practices when it comes to a player's preparation. And I just feel like for a long time now, it's been lacking. I mean, even to the days of Christian McCaffrey being injured every other year, J.C. Horn being injured a ton. Now you have Derek Brown coming up hurt. And, I mean, listen, every player's body is different. But it just seems to me like there's too much of a commonality when you have all your top marquee players pretty much consistently coming down with injuries. Like, can you name one player on our team that hasn't dealt with some form of injury causing him to miss time? Yeah, but even Bryce missed a game last year. So I don't know.
Like I don't, but I also think that this is always all over the place. I just think it's interesting. Like, look, I mean, basically, they said we're going a different direction, and we're probably somebody in the chat can probably find this out. When were these guys hired? How long have they been there? We got to figure that out too. Are they? I mean, because didn't they redo all this with Frank Reich? And I guess the question is how much.
I don't think it was the athletic department though.
I think we did hear some things about Matt, and we were like, finally. I feel like I remember that, unless we've just been talking about it for so long. But another thing is that these types of changes are happening at the right time because you got a second-year head coach now. So it's like the first-year head coach, unless he brings all those people with him, and he's already trying to just fill out his football staff. Maybe these guys were here, right, and now he's comfortable enough to where he's at as a head coach, and he can start thinking about these, not taking on too much in his first year. So I think the timing's right. And look, the Panthers were not healthy, and even the Panthers team is using that as an excuse for how bad that defense was. So I hope they land on their feet and they don't get plantar fasciitis when they do it. What we got next?
So this is the news story that keeps on giving. Tony, I think from the start of this season to the end of this season, watching the roller coaster ride of Deontay Johnson, and let me correct myself, it's not even a roller coaster, because a roller coaster assumes that there's some ups at some point. This man, Deontay Johnson, his roller coaster keeps going down.
It was just
and
a
down
drop.
and down. I mean, I feel like this season, because of his own actions, he probably ended his NFL career this year, man. So this is from hang on one second, let me get the title. This is from Dan Jones at Cat
Yeah, this
Crave.
is Cat Crave, yeah.
Yeah, former Carolina Panthers wide receiver Deontay Johnson's fall from grace hits rock bottom. Y'all check them out. Deontay Johnson thought the grass was greener elsewhere. He was wrong. Things have turned sour for the wide receiver after forcing his way out of the Carolina Panthers. Johnson was a primary option in the passing game and quickly became frustrated with the team's lack of success. The former third-round selection thought he could put his skills to better use elsewhere and was traded to the Baltimore Ravens. It didn't last long there. After refusing to come into a game when needed, Johnson was waived and picked up by the Houston Texans, another playoff contender with lofty ambitions. 2 games later, Johnson is on the proverbial scrap heap yet again. So apparently, he had 1 reception for the Texans against
Two.
did 2 receptions. Let me see. Texans cut Johnson heading into the divisional round matchup with the Kansas City Chiefs. He brought in 2 receptions from 4 targets for 12 receiving yards in Houston. Head coach D'Amico Ryans felt his services were no longer required after yet another outburst. Johnson's fall.
He had an outburst?
Yeah, he had another outburst in the locker room, pitched a temper tantrum because he didn't get enough catches in the game. So this is the 4th team that he's been kicked off of for essentially being a shitty attitude type of person.
It's sad because Carolina was the one place that had the space and the opportunity for him. And, yeah, being frustrated about not winning could be something. I mean, it could be fine. You know what I'm saying? You could say, hey, the receiver's got a diva, this. But he went to 2 playoff teams, right? I mean, think about that. He went to 2 teams that those locker rooms are built strong. If they made it to the playoffs, the Ravens, the strongest probably of all of, arguably in all the NFL in some ways. And then the Texans who really it's bananas. It's like you can't behave that way on playoff teams. You can behave that way on the Carolina Panthers. He could have been like that on the Carolina Panthers, still been starting catching balls and stuff like that, and gotten paid somewhere a little bit. Now he's going to be on a 1-year deal with a team that just maybe gets an injury or something like that. You got to really be careful and walking the line between being not selfish, but being self-centered and focused on your career, your money, and being selfless and being the team player. You got to walk the line, and depending on where you're at and who you are, really moves that line. And Deontay Johnson has not been able to dance that line, that tightrope. He is going one way or the other on that one. Yeah,
just to further go through the journey of how he started as an all-pro to being on no team. So the Steelers traded him to the Panthers in March. Carolina traded him to the Ravens in October. The Ravens waived him in December. That same month, the Texans claim him. And then the very next month, the Texans cut him. So, dude, that's man, the dude wasn't all pro.
Keep his mouth shut for 1 week, dude. If you think about it, do you remember when he got to the Texans? He was like, "Oh, I'm ready to be a team guy. It's all about the team." And then 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 game, 3 weeks, and he's already upset. How are you upset? You won. You're advancing in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's absurd to me, man. And like, why would you assume that you have a large designated role on a team that you've barely been with a month?
What
are you talking about? Why would anyone have you factored heavy into that rotation? And like, why are you so entitled to think that you're deserving of it, man? Just because you had 1 good season somewhere else? And look, I'm starting to sound like an old timer myself, Tony, but these youngins, man, there's like an entitlement with a lot of these younger players that come into the NFL today. They feel like if they're not treated like a number one can't miss wide receiver prospect, then they feel like they're owed something. And then they pitch a tantrum and shit. To me, football is the truest team sport that there is. And you're never going to be a long-term winner unless you have everyone on the same page. And this dude just isn't a team player and probably just ended his career because of it after ruining his chances with, 4 teams? The Steelers, the Panthers, the Ravens, and the Texans?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on, dude.
Hey, let's sneak this question in from his Interesting Life. He says, hey, guys, question. Would you rather have had a season like ours or the Vikings?
Oh, I'll probably still say the Vikings. Because one,
yeah, I think that's the obvious answer.
And
you know what is their season is actually going to bring some tough questions. Like, wow, it's going to create a lot of belief in their team, right? And where they're going. The questions are going to continue to surround if what they're going to do at quarterback, how much Sam Darnold's going to be able to, command. It really kind of is the best way to lose at the end, like getting destroyed. And Sammy D doesn't have as much cachet as he did 4 weeks ago. So you could bring Sam Darnold back on a 2-year deal, go with J.J. McCarthy when that's over, maybe. I think, though, the difference being is that it's really hard to say either or, Cody, because the Panthers had a first-year head coach. And they're, I think, 2 or 3 years into this head coach with them. And in some ways, I think this season was a blessing for the Carolina. And I know that's so hard. I was so miserable. I think the real storyline of the 2024 Carolina Panthers when we go back is not even Bryce Young. I think it's Dave Canales. And the ability to keep this sinking ship, dude. I mean, the ship was sinking, and somehow he made emergency repairs. He got people on lifeboats for the temporary time, got them back on the ship, and somehow made it to port. There was a moment where it was getting so bad you thought, man, he could crumple. Anybody could crumple under these circumstances, right? I'm not saying like he was not handling it well. I'm just saying it was like bad. And I think the real hero of the 2024 season is Dave Canales. So in one way, yeah, I want the Vikings season, but in another way, this forged such a strong belief for me that Dave Canales has what it takes to be good in the future. So I'll let the Vikings have their season and Carolina Panthers have ours. I would have liked it to go on a little slower, steady climb and ascendance rather than the drop down and then the comeback. But it's like on a roller coaster. Your stomach comes up into your mouth, into your heart, and then we were back. So that's my answer on that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm taking the Vikings, but also look at their situation too. They have something to look forward to in the future, right? Because the question was, do you go with Sam Darnold?
Yeah.
Or, do you go to Mike McCarthy? Yeah, and listen, Sam Darnold originally made it a hard question, but if you look at those last 2 performances that Sam had, dude, he looked like the Sam Darnold of old, the Sam Darnold that teams were getting ready to want to move on from.
Yeah.
So if you're the Vikings, you have a young quarterback ready and waiting to come back healthy. You might be able to move on from Sam. And Daniel
Jones.
Yeah, Daniel Jones is still there as a stopgap in case McCarthy isn't healthy. But listen, Tony, you said that Dave Canales was the story of this year. As you're welcoming our brother CK. You said that the story of the year was Canales, but in my mind, there has to be a slash right there. It has to be Canales and Bryce Young because of how momentous it was that our quarterback that we traded so much to move up and get, who through 2 weeks or through one season and 2 games, Panther fandom was damn near unanimous, whether they'll admit to it or not right now. They were unanimous that we had just drafted a bust. We were already looking at what the options were going to be outside of Bryce Young. For him to come back the way he did and show enough sign of life that the Panthers are looking forward to something next year, to me, Bryce Young, it's going to be the year of Bryce Young. If he goes on to live up to his potential, 2024 will be designated at the starting line of that new timeline of success for the Panthers.
CK, the voice that makes them moist. Are you feeling better, my friend?
Oh, yeah. Wasn't a matter of that. I was just running a little behind on some stuff.
No, I mean, I was still just worried about your health. You had a tough December. We're getting into January. We're starting a new year. The Panthers are looking forward. Tonight's show is how much potential do the Carolina Panthers have in 2025? And your health and eternal optimism is very important to this show. Welcome to the show, CK. Good to see you.
Man, I'm happy to be here. Sorry I was rolling a little late today, but hey, listen, we're all in off-season mode now, I guess. So, man, I'll tell you what, it still feels like an off-season of optimism. And I think that should be the subject of the entirety of this off-season. And maybe the subject line of every single video that we have is the off-season of optimism. And I think it's the most real optimism we've had as Panthers fans since maybe the Cam Newton era. You know, there was some optimism surrounding Baker Mayfield when he was brought here, but that, you know, slowly faded. But I don't know. I just feel like this is a completely different situation, and so I'm incredibly happy that we can have a conversation that isn't a matter of like we have nowhere we can the despair. Think about the despair we had week 5 of the year. Like we were talking about, mainly Tony was talking about this being the worse than last year.
Yes.
And it's to have such a turnaround. I agree, Cody. I think I don't know. I feel like the story of quarterback and head coach go hand in hand. So I don't think that you can say it's the story of Dave Canales or the story of Bryce Young. I just think it's a similar situation to what we saw with Cam Newton and Ron Rivera, or maybe even Sam Darnold and what's his Kevin O'Connell up there.
Yeah.
Andy
Reid and
Mahomes. Andy Reid and Alex Smith, Andy Reid and Donovan McNabb. Andy Reid, you just keep going with Andy Reid.
Yeah, you're right.
Or Shanahan and Brock Purdy, who was a no-name quarterback who came into the league and all of a sudden is considered a top 10 quarterback in the league in many people's eyes. I just think that it is a story of a duo that are going to hopefully be the Panthers, path to the promised land. Not to try to get with too many of these, interesting little sayings, but man, I'm just happy. I'm just happy to be here with you guys. I'm just happy to be a Panthers fan and be able to be excited about something because it's been too long.
Well, we're great to have that optimism. We're great that this offseason isn't going to be one of despair. And maybe I think CK put it, wonderfully there, is that the duo is the story. And that is the true storyline of the season, is the story of Bryce Young and Dave Canales. I just feel like it's so easy to only talk about Bryce Young in this context of the season. It occupies so much real estate of Panther fans. It occupies the real estate in any media market. I do think that, like Dave Canales, there is something to that storyline that needs to be celebrated, and I'm excited about that. And another good thing going forward, and you are absolutely right, CK, is that I don't even think that I'm not even super optimistic like this turnaround is going to be like just a complete, easy, straight ascendance. Like you just hit a stock that's going to just continue to go up each and every month or every quarter for the next. I just feel like this is that you have enough. We got some data in the last 2 quarterly reports that make us feel that the company is sound.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree. And the fact that we're as a Matt Sheen, what the, come on now. The fact that we're the fact that we have the ability to go into the off season not being in cap hell. I know we're not necessarily in a crazy cap situation where we're going to be able to spend crazy over the off season, but we're certainly better off than the Saints are right now.
Yeah, we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk about the cap here in a minute, and along with some options of what the Panthers might be able to do in 2025 in free agency. Now that we're sort of looking towards those things. CK, before we move on, did you want to talk about Deontay Johnson being cut from the Texans? He, just for reference, he's been through 4 teams in 1 season.
Yeah, I do. I'd love to comment on it. And I think that, number one, I made a post today on X about there's been so many times since Dan Morgan's taken office that the Panthers have been fleeced. And I can't tell you a moment that I feel like the Panthers have been fleeced. Deontay Johnson was traded with the capital that is Deontay Jackson, which I don't know if you boys know. Pittsburgh fans hate
him, dude.
Jackson.
I saw a guy just
him.
railing on him.
They hate Deontay Jackson. Deontay Jackson, every time I have turned on a Steelers game, has gotten burnt for a touchdown. Almost every single time.
It has been slowing down some.
Which is funny because the first time that I think we all remember Johnson getting burnt the worst was against Antonio Brown in 2017 when TJ Watt hit Cam.
But listen, I'm telling you, you can point to maybe the draft picks and say there were some questions about that. I really don't even think that that's the case. We traded an unknown rookie that was a linebacker to the Seattle Seahawks for a player that was incredibly impactful on this team in Mike Jackson.
That we're worried if we can even bring him back at this point.
We're wondering if we're going to be able to keep him on the team. Most of us would like to see that happen so that we can focus on other things other than cornerback. And when it comes to this offseason, that's one move that people want to kind of sweep under the rug about that happened. And by the way, Seattle, in a matter of 2 weeks after we traded the rookie, cut him. We could have picked him back up and we could have basically gotten him on our team for nothing at that point. We are dealing with an offensive line that has been absolutely rejuvenated. As much as people want to talk about Ike Ekwonu's out here impressing a tremendous amount of people with maybe not pass sets, but his run blocking has been on point. That's always kind of been his strength, but being the best on the team when it comes to run blocking, when you're talking about the hog mollies that we have in the center there, and you're saying Ike Ekwonu is the number 1 graded run blocker on the team, that's an incredible a situation to find yourself in. But to also add Damian Lewis, to add Robert Hunt, to even with the Deontay Johnson, we still walked away with a better draft pick getting rid of him, and he's not even on anybody's team right now.
And it wasn't even shitty in Carolina.
Yeah, let's talk about the fact that Brian Burns was traded for a second that we then turned into not only Jonathan Brooks, which jury's still out on that situation, but another second round for the upcoming year that we didn't have one because of the trade with Bryce Young. And so all of a sudden, you're talking about a full-on rebuild that has been started the right way under Dan Morgan. Dan Morgan has done such a great job, and this Deontay Johnson is just the kind of the top on it all, right? The icing on the cake, if you will. And I just personally, I have been building up Dan Morgan. And by the way, you all will go back and talk about, you all will be able to go back and see, I did not want Dan Morgan as our GM. I was not prepared to accept a GM from a losing organization that had his fingerprints all over this team that was absolutely horrendous. But I will be more than willing to eat crow when I see the moves that he's made, the positions he's put this team in, to be able to go into his year 2 as GM with an ability to actually take a jump from a joke to a contender in potentially 1 year. Like, I know that seems like a jump to say that we're on that position, but when you're talking about our offense being good and the only things we need to worry about is our defense, man, I tell you what, if we can get the pieces together to make that a reality, it's going to be exciting. And I'm happy to see that. And the Deontay Johnson just tells me that they made the right move getting rid of him, because this team only got better every single week since he's been gone.
Yeah, he was a cancer, man. We said it earlier, threw a temper tantrum pretty much every place that he's been. And yeah, dude, just embarrassed.
Could we alter the order of the show, and just since we're talking about Dan Morgan, jump to the Dan Morgan material later on? And the only reason I bring that up is I think we got the best. We got exactly the vision of why they hired Dan Morgan, right? And we spent a lot of time talking about the show, the different options in the past when we were thinking about the new GM and the benefits of cutting and bait and starting fresh, right? But the one thing that we kept there were two things we kept gravitating, maybe actually three. I need to not make my list prematurely. The three things we gravitated back to being the positives for Dan Morgan, I think, have really shown to be assets at this point. Number one is that he was involved with the Bryce Young pick, right? And imagine a GM, a brand new GM, running into the adversity of this season and where they're thinking in week 8 the future of the Carolina Panthers and Bryce Young is. Dan Morgan had his experiences with why he was there when they made the pick, and whether or not, we're not going to debate if he wanted to pick somebody else and this and that, but there was a reason that he was selected regardless. I mean, it's not just David Tepper. I mean, Bryce Young was one of the top 2 quarterbacks that were forecasted, right? So Dan Morgan was in the room when they were talking about and remembering why they picked him in the first place. The second part, right, so he has that connection there to a very important piece that is necessary for the Panthers to succeed. Number 2 is his pedigree with the Carolina Panthers, his connection to the Carolina Panthers, which really makes him invested in the organization in a way that's hard to artificially manufacture, right? Like, it's an organic care, just like us people listen to this podcast, right? There's a care and investment in the organization and that history and the success of them. And then third was Dan Morgan was not fresh. He was not green. While he was the first-time GM, he's worked with several organizations from Seattle to Buffalo. And I think some of that experience proved to be beneficial this season. And he has been committed, Cody. We put this up is they're asking about, where the Carolina Panthers, this was in the mailbag to Darren Gant, and they're asking about where the Carolina Panthers are looking in free agency and the draft. And Darren Gant said this, he wrote this, the most important thing Morgan said Monday was he didn't believe in quick fixes. He wants the thing to be stable for the long haul. This is all coach speak. Everybody says that or whatever. So he's going to build deliberately, meaning using premium picks to take premium players, even if that's not the biggest need at the time. The Panthers had Morgan on the roster when they drafted John Beeson, and they had Beeson on the roster when they drafted Luke Kuechly. That's a large part that they had good, stable defense for the better part of 20 years. I think what that speaks to me is there is a connection to the legacy and history of the Panthers, where there's some context that he's operating in that gives him a certain wisdom. We can critique. It's like one of my students turns in a paper, a beautiful paper, a great paper, right? Thoughtful, well-written. Yeah. Are there going to be flaws? Are there going to be errors? Certainly. But at the core and the result was very good here.
Yeah, to me this offseason, they are betting on what they believe Dan Morgan and Brant Tillis to be, which is why I think we didn't see Jero Rivero fired. They think that Brant Tillis and Dan Morgan can use their skills to really hone in on some good defensive players to rebuild this team. And that's what they want to do. I think this is the reason that we gave Ejiro Evero some more time. And listen, Tony, do you remember? CK said he didn't want Dan Morgan. Do you remember before we hired Fitterer, I wanted Dan Morgan. I've been saying Dan Morgan's name for the longest. The continuity with him being a Panthers player. I've always been a fan of Dan. And I also like it, too, that you have former players that are being taken seriously in these positions, that are being valued for their football acumen, their expertise, and the things that they know. I'm happy to have Dan Morgan as the GM.
He's consistent. He's consistent, Cody, in what he said. And I know, look, everybody, a lot of people can be consistent, but one thing that he has said over and over is that he wants guys that love football. And so to bridge three conversations here into one is think of what potentially could be the pitfall of Deontay Johnson and the type of player Dan Morgan was, is that, yes, there is a me component in a business, but Dan Morgan has continually revisited the concept of loving football.
Yeah.
And, you wonder, does Deontay Johnson love himself more than he loves football? And I hate to be that critical, man. This guy's had a rough go. Probably could use some better advisement. And I wish it wouldn't have turned out for them. I don't wish any ill on anybody. But then talk about loving football and loving your front office. Kay Adams tweeted this out today. Which NFL GM would win the Royal Rumble? Number 1 draft pick on the line. I don't know if Dan Morgan is the Dan Morgan that he used to be on the field, but he got enough dog in him that I'm putting him in the top 3-4 of the Royal Rumble right here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm betting on my horse, Dan Morgan, that we might get a first round. We might get a number 1 draft pick here.
So let's think of it, right? Dan Morgan's a former player.
Lynch.
John Lynch is a former player. The general manager for the Bears is a former offensive tackle. So he's a big dude. I'm still going with Dan Morgan, man. A headhunting linebacker. I mean, come on. Off the top of my head, like I said, those are the only other two.
I mean, you're right. And a guy that basically prematurely ended his career because he was such a monster on the field.
Yeah. Now, John Lynch, we have to give credit where credit's due. John Lynch was a bad mofo in his day.
I think it probably is. Adam Peters. No, I think it probably comes down to trying to look at this is current. When was this published? This is January 9th, 2025. Here is the list. Let me see if I can share it real quick. And I think it might just be him and John Lynch. I feel like Adam Peter was a former player, or he looks like a big kind of guy in some ways. Monty Osifert, we'll have to look at his stats. Terry Fontenot, no. Brandon Bean.
Dude, this is old. This says ours is vacant.
What's that?
It says ours is vacant. This is an old list.
What's that? Published January 29th, 2025.
Why does this look at the Panthers? It says vacant.
Yeah, I mean, this cannot be the right list.
No, the Bears. If you scroll up, what's that guy's name for the Bears?
Ryan Poles.
Yeah, Ryan Poles used to be an offensive tackle.
I think it's going to come down to the John Lynch and Dan Morgan. All right.
Yeah, I think so too.
You want to take some calls right now?
Yeah, we're going to do that.
All right. You're listening to the C3 Panthers Podcast. We're live on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. The number's 252-228-5098. Let's get your thoughts. Who would win the Royal Rumble of GMs? Our money is on Dan Morgan in the final two. And he might be a little bit younger. Him and John Lynch actually might be very close to the same age. We'll have to look that up in the case. What is the potential for the Carolina Panthers? Cody, let's take some of these cat calls.
Let's do it. Leave a message on our machine at 252-228-5098. Let your voice be heard on the longest running Panthers podcast on the internet.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey guys, John B. Jenkins here. As per usual, I'm listening on Wednesday to the Tuesday show. Do try and pop in for a little bit on Tuesday nights, but I do usually normally listen to it on Wednesday. And this call is mainly for Steve from Richmond County. I just want to let you know, man, you're part of the fam. You're an awesome caller. I mean, listen to how freaking long-winded I am. Sometimes it even cuts me off. I talk so long. So never fear about whether you're a good caller or not, man. You're part of the fam. We love you. Love everybody here at the podcast. You guys are just a nice community to be part of. And
appreciate you, brother.
Y'all are like some friends. One of these days I'm going to meet you all in person, but it's cool knowing y'all on the interwebs. Anyway, it's Wednesday, so I don't even know if this is going to make it to the next Tuesday show, but if it does, Steve from Richmond County, have no fear, man. Loved your calls. Like your idea for the Keep Pounding Award. Keep it up, man. And as always, guys, keep pounding Carolina Panthers, keep pounding Panthers Roshlaw, and keep pounding C3. John B. Jenkins out.
Keep pounding. Dude, when the members of the C3 Legion show other members and first-time callers love, dude, that's the type of community we've built, boys. C3
Absolutely.
Is everybody, absolutely everybody. And John B came back for round two, boys.
Hey, guys, John B. Jenkins here, and it is the off-season for us Carolina Panthers fans. So that means one thing and one thing only. I'm going to fill some airtime with talking about random shit. I'm walking to my car from work. I happen to work at a place that throws away a lot of little tiny computers, little workstations, about 5x5 little square boxes. Well, I got this guy that I work with that converts those into tiny gaming PCs. And he sold one to me for $20, preloaded it with ESPN NFL 2K5 with the updated rosters, with the updated graphics and textures. Y'all, I'm about to go home, crank up this little system, play me some 2024 Carolina Panthers with some Bryce Young. Oh, I might go black socks. I might go blue pants. I might go white shirts. I don't know. I might go black helmets. But I'm going to be able to do it on this tiny little PC. And I figured you guys are the people that would appreciate this. So that's what I'm doing. Calling in to fill some time. Tell y'all I love you. And as always, keep pounding Carolina Panthers. Keep pounding Panthers Roshlaw. And keep pounding C3. John B. Jenkins out.
Keep pounding. Tony?
I'm all here for I'm here for video games, bro. Like, to me, when you get to play video games at any point in your life,
especially with your boys.
I think as an adult, when you get to play, I know, look, people are, this is going to be like, it means that you have gotten all your shit done in a certain way. Like, if I play video games, it means this is my job is all taken care of. My laundry's taken care of. And I had this time where I just was like, you know what? And for the first time in a long time, I hopped on some Uncharted 4 the other night. So, hey, man. I'm here for it, man. What do we got next? Let's hit another call.
C3 Panther Nation. What's good? It's your boy Preston from Hickory. Just calling in to vent on our Panthers, man. After, going back and listening to the show last week, maybe I was a little quick to jump on Jero Evero. I mean, we should probably just go in free agency and see, get the best value for the best player we can and see what this defense can do, with better players. We did have a lot of injuries. I'm very, very excited for this next season. Mainly because of Big Bryce Young. Big BY9. I'm not calling him big to be funny. I'm calling him big because he plays big. I'm not ready to throw him into elite status just yet, but I'm seeing shades of, honestly, I want to say a combination of Drew Brees and dare I say Patrick Mahomes. I mean, we saw that little pass he had scrambling to the sideline and that little pass to Coker he had. Look, I think we got one. We know that. So the biggest thing that we can really hang our hat on next season would be offense. I think that's going to develop and get better. But who do you guys think that we can go in free agency and get for the defensive side of the ball? I know we've talked a lot about getting Bryce weapons and all that, but who do you guys see us going and getting and targeting possibly in free agency on the defensive side of the ball? Obviously the draft, we can do what we need there, but I mean, a really quality pass rush that would very much benefit us. Secondary, I'm okay with, but a decent pass rush, we get, whenever Shaq comes back, if he comes back, and Josie Jewell, I think we can possibly get another, linebacker out there. But
yeah,
I know everybody hates the 3-4, but apparently, look, we're going to have to deal with it, obviously, because Avero's still there. But who you guys think we're getting free agency, man? Let me know y'all's thoughts. Keep pounding, baby. Keep pounding.
Vegas Drew, don't worry. You're gonna make me mad in just a second. We're coming back to that super chat, but this is perfect timing. Perfect timing. The caller got a great segue to what we had planned or queued up in the show, and that obviously the Carolina Panthers need to make a lot of improvements when it comes to the team in the offseason. And it's clear that the defense is at the top of the list on this. Cody, take us through what we had prepped for the show because the caller lobbed up a softball for you.
Yeah, we can go to the defense first, even though I didn't have them up first. But so we're working with about $23.5 million this year. We're around 20th in cap space. So again, it's not the best, but we're going to have options available to us. Now, he asked specifically about linebacker, correct? And
I think he said defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Defensive front end. So let's just go through our defense and it will answer his call.
So listen, right here, I have a list of all the free agents, the best free agents at edge, defensive tackle, and linebacker. And then another suggestion by Matthew Schmidt on Sports Illustrated for the Panthers. But boys, let's run through some of these, right? We lose Brian Burns at the end of last year. He goes to New York. You bring in EJ Wanham. You have another year with him. You still have Jadeveon Clowney on your team. However, we still know that we need to get better at edge, at this outside linebacker position. And there's a lot of familiar names on this list, but just to name a few of some of the guys that are going to be available, you have Josh Sweat, 28 years old with a 12% pressure rate in 16 games. Khalil Mack, that goes without saying, although he is 34 now.
Old.
Yeah, man. DeMarcus Lawrence is out there. Chase Young, who played with the New Orleans
all the time.
All the time. Dante Fowler, who is a name that I would consider. 12% pressure.
He's kind of skinny. And
but if we're going to a 3-4, man, that
You're
fits the type of player that we're looking for.
Don't worry. Number 9 is the answer.
Well, so listen, they put right next to his name, lit millions on fire with this holdout, then recorded 1 sack on the year. Listen, when Hassan Reddick is on the field and playing ball, the dude's a monster. He looks like another version of Von Miller. I never wanted him to leave. I always said that the year that Brian Burns went to the Pro Bowl, it should have been Hassan Reddick
100%
instead of him.
It was
had 4 sacks even, I think.
He did. That's what I'm saying. He had 4 sacks.
He'll be 31 going into this season.
2 years in a row, he had 10+ sacks.
Yeah.
For the Panthers. So that's impressive, dude. Matthew Judon on that list. Chazon, we don't need none of him. Charles Omenihu
Kayvon Jason, that's who we had. Wait,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. He was on our team. I didn't know.
No, is that the same one?
Yeah, Kayvon Jason.
Where did he go afterwards?
Did he go to the Jaguars, or he came from the Jaguars to come here?
Came from
the Jaguars.
I can't remember where he went.
So,
how about this, Cody? I think this is that, like, how about is that we're gonna have to have one off of every list in a sense, right?
So here's my only issue with this mindset that things like edge or a linebacker are what's going to make Avero's defense hum. We have what is now considered a second team All-Pro on our team last year, or I guess 2023. And this defense wasn't looking that much better than it did last year, outside of maybe a little, a little bit more consistency in some cases. And that's, Frankie Louvu. Frankie Louvu went to the Commanders, and he's a second-team All-Pro now. So I don't know that any of these players are going to make a difference for Avero's defense.
I think the way to think about it is that you're going to have to get a player on the defensive front. You're going to have to get a player at linebacker, and you're going to have to get a player in the secondary in free agency. Like, there's that many holes that you need to fill. We don't even have a safety other than that rookie that something Richardson that we barely just got to meet. I think you're going to have to start thinking like this, is if you picked your best player on this list, who would it be? And also, who is the kind of veteran player too that could fill in for 2 or 3 years that wouldn't be so expensive, right?
You know what makes the most sense in my mind? It's right now you have a few teams that are going to be in a pure rebuild mode. The primary person I would be trying to seek after, as silly as this might sound, and it might not be in everybody else's opinion a good move, but trading for Max Crosby from the Raiders. They're going to be in a fire sale situation because they're in a really tough situation moving forward. They don't have a quarterback. They have a lot of questions on that defense. And name me one wide receiver that you would, I guess I don't really know of a wide receiver that I would put in a top tier over there for the Raiders either. And that dude is, unfortunately their best player. But I think that if they can, get rid of him and get some assets for him and start a rebuild properly, I think there is an opportunity there.
I love it, CK, just for the very fact is that if we got Max Crosby, one, it would just set I would just keep coming back. How many times would we talk about Brian Burns and Max Crosby on this? Do you remember when we'd be like, Max Crosby got this money and he's playing better? And then people would, all the Brian Burns
super fans
would go
Nut
crazy. And like, you can watch Max Crosby. He doesn't miss games. He's missed his one game his whole career. Now I know that can change in the future, but that dude, you can just, the eyeball test tells you that he's better than Brian Burns. Right? He makes a difference. He makes a way to. I'm here for that, CK. Let's do that.
And then
I fodder for our podcast at the very.
I continue to hear rumors. I don't think this would happen, but I continue to hear rumors that Myles Garrett might not come back to Cleveland. That's another name I would be super happy to have, even though I don't think he would come to Carolina. Why go from the Browns to Carolina?
There was a great comment too, and let's go on to defensive tackles real quick because I forget when I got to pull the comments back up because I went full.
Did you want me? Tell me when you want me to read the super chat we got too.
Yeah, the comment was awesome though. It was like, hey, look, I mean, at the end, the run defense is so horrific. Not addressing that entirely, like that in so many ways. I can't imagine that getting a halfway good pass rusher, and that would probably be the knock against Hassan Reddick, right?
He's not really
on the pass rush, but the Carolina Panthers are giving up 200 yards a game on the ground, bro. We got to stop some of this crap. Yeah,
man, it's we have to be able to stop the run, and in order to do that, you're gonna have to build up your interior. And these are some of the guys that are available right now. I don't know what names jump off the page at you, but Milton Williams, defensive tackle 5 in pass rush win rate. Osa Odenigazua. Javon Hargrave is a name that I'd be very interested in if he could come here. Javon Kinlaw, former first rounder. I remember when he was coming out, same year as Derek Brown. BJ Hill, Levi Onzurike, Jaron Reed, Benito Jones, Calais Campbell. Dude, Calais Campbell's 38 years old and still playing. Dude, shout out to Calais. Sebastian Joseph Day, Benito Jones, Solomon Thomas. So again, none of the names at defensive tackle really jump off the page.
There's one. I don't know if it's a jump, but I just
Hargrave. I like Hargrave.
No. Is this just because I watched the Chargers game against the Texans in the playoffs, and then I Googled his name just to see how old he was. Poona Ford. Wow, he is short. Nose tackle. By the way, but from Beaufort, South Carolina.
Yeah, Poona Ford's a badass, dude. I like it.
And if you think about this, is like they were talking about on the broadcast is like who wants a defensive tackle that's only 5'11". Well, one thing I was thinking when they said that isn't so much of the trenches about pad level.
Yeah,
and if you're a big mug who's athletic and you can get and you're a little shorter, stockier in that interior position, that could be an advantage. But Poona Ford had a great game for the Chargers. But here, I pull up his Wikipedia while he's listed as a nose tackle for the Chargers. Guess where he was in 2020? With the Seattle Seahawks. Guess who was with the Seattle Seahawks in 2020? Dan Morgan, Dave Canales. Who? Poona Ford.
Yes, sir. Now
I'm a Chevy guy, but hey, we'll do a Ford in this case.
Dude, these next ones are interesting to me. So let's run through them. We need another linebacker. We know this. We've been debating how long Shaq Thompson is going to be around and available for us. Joseph Jewell, I believe we have for another year, I think. If one of you could look that up. But either way, we have to get better at the linebacker position. We absolutely have to. And there's a bunch of names on this list that we would love to have. One, take Zach Bond off it. That dude, any other year, he might have been the defensive player of the year at linebacker. The dude's a baller. Philly's going to sign him. So there's some names on here. Tyrell Dodson, Robert Spillane, Nick Bolton, Ernest Jones, Jerome Baker, Drake Greenlaw, coming off of a torn Achilles. Is that the guy that walked off the field? No, that's not the same guy.
That was oh gosh, I can't remember now.
No, you're thinking
he was another 49er
player.
No, it was a 49er.
Oh no, the 49er.
Yeah, he walked off the field. George Kittle called him out on it. Yeah, but listen, so there's a few names here. How about this? Bobby Wagner's still playing, man. I remember him and Luke Kuechly were the best of their era, and he's out there still balling. That's insane. Kenneth Murray is another linebacker that I like a lot. But how about this? From Matthew Schmidt, says Panthers could steal star defender from NFC South rival. The Carolina Panthers are in need of all the help they can get defensively, as they were the worst defensive team in the NFL this season. The Panthers don't have a ton of cap room heading into free agency, so they might have to rely on making shrewd, affordable signings for 2025. That's why Levante David is a player that the Panthers might be able to grab. The unit never found true replacements for Brian Burns or Frankie Louvu and ranked near at the bottom of almost every defensive metric, Latham wrote of the Panthers defense. While Derek Brown's return will help, somebody must be the heart of the defense. Levante David is not a long-term solution, but the Buccaneers star could start for the next year or two while helping to develop the younger talent on the roster. David is coming off a spectacular 2024 campaign in which he racked up 122 tackles, 5.5 sacks, an interception, 3 forced fumbles, and 7 passes deflected. The veteran is 34 years old, but it's clear he has plenty left in the tank. boys, I think that would be awesome. Levante David has been a great linebacker for a long time, and has history with Canales being over there in Tampa Bay. So, yeah, Levante David, I think that would be a perfect signing for us.
And
the only issue I would have with him is that isn't he more of a 4-3?
Well, I mean, I guess you're going to run two traditional linebackers in a 3-4 regardless, right?
Yeah.
So we know at the very minimum you have to have two players that can play in both systems because they're going to be up the middle linebackers. And what you mentioned, his age and veteran presence and things like this makes it a reasonable signing for the Carolina Panthers monetarily.
Well, yeah, but it also makes it a reasonable signing for the Bucks. And the Bucks aren't, they're not in cap hell like any, the Falcons and the Saints are this year either. They're not like so far in the green that they're able to just go shopping, but they're sitting in a position where they can still bring him back to the team. And to be quite honest with you, if I'm Levante David, I don't want to play for another team.
I agree. I mean, you're right about that. And I think, too, Devin White was picked in the first round. Like, Levante David turned out to be the better linebacker and was the later pick. Interesting. Cody, let's hit this super chat, and then we got to underdog it up.
Let's do it. Vegas Panthers Drew says, just some draft talk to make Tony mad. I would like to see us try and grab Cam Scatterbo in the third round if we can. Just like I was pushing hard for McConkey last year. Hopes for Graham, but that's a pipe dream. So, one, let me explain to Tony who Cam Scatterbo is, because I know he's not aware. Everybody's calling him the white Marshawn Lynch. He went to Arizona State, big, strong white boy with a head of granite, and he makes dudes look silly. I'm talking trucking them, running through them, juking them out there.
He's running back.
Yeah, he's a running back. No, he's not.
What round would you get somebody like this in?
Third. Yeah, but also he's probably.
If he's a white boy, he's automatically going to be around later.
Yeah, he's going to fall, and he's not very fast either. But everyone's saying that he is another Marshawn Lynch type. So I don't know. I'm not really into drafting running backs, to be very honest. I think that between Miles Sanders, Chuba Hubbard.
Oh no, we're not getting on the Miles Sanders. I'm not going to let us be fooled by this.
Yeah, but are you really wanting to wait?
Contract.
Are you wanting to waste another draft pick on a running back?
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's under contract, whether we love him or hate him. Run with Chuba and Miles until Jonathan Brooks is able to do anything at all.
Okay. You know what? I'm here for any comparison. If anybody called me the white Marshawn Lynch, I would fucking walk around like the biggest chest poked out motherfucker in the world. So I'm here
Lynch, dude. Yeah, dude. What's his name? Chad Johnson. Ocho Cinco gave him a big shout out. Terrell Owens did. Yeah, this he's legit. A lot of people are talking about him as an NFL talent.
The draft talk did make me mad. Mission accomplished. But no, thank you very much. Look, thank you, Vegas. Drew, one more time. Just put it up just so I don't get it wrong.
Panthers Drew.
Vegas Panthers Drew. Thank you, for listening to the show, being a part of our community. And tremendous thank you for the donation. You can help support our show by smashing the thumbs up button. That's free, folks. Smash that thumbs up button. Share, like, subscribe. Be a friend. Tell a friend, as Pat McAfee would say. And one thing you can do to be a friend of the podcast is to support our sponsors. And, bro, y'all are going to go out there playing daily fantasy football anyway. So you might as well say, I am part of this community. I'm going to play daily fantasy football sports. I want to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. If you go to Underdog right now, you will join what is up to over 5 million happy players and over $2 billion won. Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in on all your favorite athletes' performances we've got the playoffs here, and it's a great opportunity for you to take your football knowledge or at least your football passion and make some money. Hey, they've got a lot of promotions too, even if you're not interested in football and you just want to make some cash. Tonight, Steph Curry is basically a free pick. And you know what? All of us love Steph Curry because he's a Panther fan, and Bryce Young is Steph Curry of football. Patrick Mahomes right now is listed at 249.5 passing yards. Nico Collins, oh, this is the one I want. Nico Collins, 69.5 receiving yards against Kansas City. Yes, that defense is important. It is impressive. But, man, Nico Collins is a boss, and you know they're going to be feeding him. Why don't you get on some Jaden Daniels right now at 49.5 rushing yards? I've been saying this all season. In the beginning, Jaden Daniels, the Commanders, eased him into the league by doing what we did with Cam, and that is using his legs, that threat. But they pulled back a little bit and made him a passing threat. Now they're going all in, bro. They're going to go all in on quarterback read options, quarterback draws. Get ready. These guys are trying to advance on Jaden Daniels' legs and anything that it takes. I'm on that Jaden Daniels over. You can go to Underdog and make that prediction and turn into cash. Make sure you use the promo code C3P when you download the app, and you can get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's promo code C3P, underdog.com, Underdog Fantasy app, and they will give you even free picks and promotions and up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Cody Lack.
Yes, sir. Must be 18 years of age, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, and 21 in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Arizona, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP at 1-800-639-8783 or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-8778-HOPE New York or text HOPE New York to 467-369. Thank you to Underdog Fantasy for sponsoring us all the way through the playoffs. Tony,
don't say we never did anything for you, Cody Lack. Let's take another call.
Let's do it. Tell me if we've heard this one.
Hey, folks, this is Panther Pickle. Listen.
No.
What's up, Pickle?
I somehow or another, I seem to be the leader of the anti-Taylor Moton brigade. And I want to correct some things.
Somehow.
I haven't talked about him, getting rid of him in a while, even for cap purposes, because I just don't think it's going to happen as much as sometimes it would appear that it would help our cap. And I don't think it will as much. I don't think it's going to save the Panthers as much money to get rid of him if by the time you calculate your savings isn't all that much. If you go to over the cap and look it up, you're not really saving all that much. Now, That being said, I think he's going to be here next year, and I want him to be here next year. I don't see any valuable option. If the Panthers were really interested in letting him go for cap purposes or anything else, they would have moved Taylor. They would have tried Brady Christensen right tackle. They had opportunities this year. They didn't.
Right.
They also would have. They did look at their free agent swing tackle starting at right tackle, and he didn't look all that good. So Taylor Moton is the best option, at least finishing this year. Now, is he a free agent next year? Yes. But next year will be next year, and they'll figure it out next year. Maybe he re-signs here. I don't know. Maybe he won't. I don't know. But, the only other option the Panthers have is to draft a right tackle this year. Now, that being said, let's understand something. The Panthers haven't drafted an offensive tackle since they drafted Ikem Ekwonu. And even before that, it was not a right tackle. They only got Taylor Moton because they wanted him to play guard. And when Darrell Williams got hurt, Moton's rookie year, they kicked him to right tackle because he played right tackle in college, and he looked real good at it, so they left him there. So, and then Daryl Williams couldn't really play guard, so they let him walk. So, anyway, since I seem to have started it, I want to stop the Taylor Moton move on from him brigade, because it's not going to happen. And even if it does, the Panthers offensive line will be very bad for doing that, unless you want to spend the 8th overall pick on a right tackle. That's up to y'all.
Yeah.
Keep pounding.
Keep pounding. Yeah. Let's also say that he had a career year this year, man.
Yeah.
Taylor Moton played his best football, and he's taking deals for the team before to move contract money around.
Yeah.
He's been a team player, man. Like, look, it sucks that he's around 30-something million this year. There's really not much you're going to be able to do to get away from that, but you're not trying to move on from Taylor Moton, especially in year 3, when, as I've said before, CK, that's such an important year, that 3rd year for Bryce Young, that in no way do we want to compromise on his protection at all right now.
The only reason that you don't see Moton being held at an equally as high regard as we held Jordan Gross to is because we haven't had success except for his rookie year.
Hasn't been
the only that's the only reason. I mean,
and right tackle versus left tackle.
Yeah,
maybe.
I mean, there's
But I
that
think
piece
you're
of
right.
it. I think that, but here's the other part of it is, I don't think that, number one, the problem with his cap issue is a reaction or a result of the Federer regime doing the kicking the can stuff, right? And that is something I'm more than willing to eat that this upcoming season, and then that way we're free and clear of it. Or we can extend him for an additional 4 years and try to have that spread out over those 4 years while he's
Maybe
still getting paid. Yeah, 3 years, 3. Yeah, well, the thing is, he's not as old as people want. Like, it feels like he's been on the team forever, but 2017 was his first year, right? You're talking about 7 years in the league.
No,
Like,
you're right. And there are a lot of offensive linemen that are hitting their. I mean, think
That
about some of
stay
the
in a
great
high-
left tackles of all
Yeah.
time. Who was that guy for the Rams that just kept playing until he was 38?
Whitworth.
Yeah,
Whitworth?
yeah,
Andrew Whitworth. And then you had
look,
the guy from the Eagles that retired, not Kelsey, but the other guy too.
Yeah.
That was considered one of the best in the history of the NFL.
and you're sitting here going, Moton has not had injury problems, and he's not been a problem for this line.
He's
and
been
I
the
don't
most
want
reliable.
our beliefs about him to be color, because that word color, like influence, should I say, is that when the whole line was bad 2 years ago,
he still was playing at a high level.
he was, but you were starting to wonder if the decline was happening. But like who said it? It was somebody in the chat just said it, is you put him beside a dog in Robert Hunt, and the guy's back to playing top level football. I know one thing. I didn't say Taylor Moton's name one time this season. And that
that's
is
a
a
good thing.
great thing for any offensive lineman.
Yeah, when you're an offensive lineman and your name isn't being said, that means you're doing your job. If you're saying the name of them constantly, they're probably getting.
I think I'm kind of with CK. Is just eat the money, bro.
You have no choice. That's what Pickle was saying that it's called, Tony. That
You're,
there's no reason to move on from him. There's no real possible way that anyone's going to trade for a 1 year, $30 million player anyway. So it's
Well, no, here's the thing about a trade. We have to always look, when we can look up his salary.
It's 31 mil.
Yeah, but here is the thing: is that it's the guaranteed money that the other team.
Well, we would save
save
money, but like with the trade and the guaranteed, I think is a large portion of that.
The Panthers would have to pay the guaranteed part.
Yeah.
So is that? Look, I'll look it up right now.
I think I think getting rid of Moton would ultimately cost us more in the long run for whatever the replacement situation is going to be. Like, here's the thing: we're gonna either have to draft a guy and hope that works out. And if it doesn't work out, then we're going to have to go after somebody in free agency and overpay for a guy who probably isn't as good as Moton is.
It's going to have to be a restructure.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. Look, because right now, if
we've
you look
restructured
at
so many times, though. Is it even possible?
No, I don't think we've restructured. I think we extended him once and restructured once.
Yeah.
But if you look at the 2025 numbers, he has a $14,300,000 base salary. So if you traded him, that is what the other team would have to pay, the $14 million. The sign-in bonus, which is $13 million, and then the 300, those other bonuses, that the Panthers would have to eat $13 million. So yes.
Well, if he's not on the roster, we would save $3 million
for a roster. Okay.
Yeah, because if he's not on the
just
roster,
say this is no workout bonus. So say $14 million though, you would pay someone to take on $14 million.
Yeah.
So is saving $14 million worth it for you? Or can you, I know you don't want to restructure, but in a sense say, hey, look, we want to keep you here through, hey, what if you just extend them through 2027?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's reasonable. I think, I think if he's willing to, if he wants to be a Panther, and I think that a lot of these guys on this offensive line would love to stay together based on how they have been performing this year. I think that the dude would want to be here for a long-term deal. I have no reason with going all the way to 2028. Give the guy 4 more years.
He's 30 now. Yeah.
Give the guy 4 more years. Let there be some consistency. Like, let's not worry about the offensive line at all if we can for the next few years. By making it, solidifying the pieces that we know are going to be contributing to the success of this offensive line. I think that makes the most sense to me. And then that way you can focus on the other things that you need to focus on that aren't like every single team that has been a dominant offense starts with the offensive line. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
When
starts
Dallas,
in the trenches all around. And
Dallas, let's talk about the Eagles right now. The Eagles have by far the best offensive line, and look how they're dominating with Saquon Barkley at the helm.
And defensive
unreal.
Line. But you just said it is not having to worry, CK. But another thing, though, is that if you did this and how you're playing, I mean, you're really thinking long-term this way, is that you're making the extension and drafting a player. And what you don't have to do is you don't have to draft a player in the first round. You don't have to draft a player who is required to start in the next 2 years. You could organically get a player who can be a multi-tool player in the beginning if he needs to fill in for somebody, but not having to put the capital up of a first, second round pick. We could draft a right tackle in the third, extend Moton in those years, and still be happy. Yeah. I actually think that is what we do too. We don't do enough of, maybe in Carolina and then football in general, is that we're a little short-sighted here. Is you could sign Taylor Moton with the idea of also knowing that he's only got 3 more years on the team.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't need it to be Taylor Moton or bust or rookie or bust. Like, couldn't you have both in a sense? Like, what happens if Taylor Moton gets hurt in a year and a half, and then you drafted a player you think could be stepping, and then he gets that opportunity and he thrives. Taylor Moton, we need to find a way to make it happen, make the money happen, and not give up on adding depth in this offensive line through the draft. And maybe, I think through the draft, if you sign players that you believe in right now, then that gives you the luxury of drafting players you can believe in the future.
Yeah, well, how about this too? Since we're talking about offensive line, we still don't know what our future center or who our future center is going to be. This is incredibly important, and I think it's one that we don't talk about enough for how important it is and how bad we need one right now. I think you can make an argument that center, if we don't address it, needs to be a high priority in the draft. But look at the names that are on this list that we're already familiar with at center, right? So Austin Corbett is on the list. You have Bradley Bozeman on the list, who's been here before. And you have Brady Christensen at the bottom of the list. 4 emergency center starts, 3rd rounder, and can play all 5. Dude, listen, I know that Brady Christensen is probably looking for a starting job somewhere, and who can blame him?
Or
But
just
man,
the most money. Just the most money. $3 million. He's not going to take $3 million from one other team, Cody, more than another team. Austin Corbett signed 2 big deals.
I'm just saying, what a waste of talent that we have a player that can play literally all 5 positions. And at no point in time did we ever find the opportunity to make him a starter at any one of them.
Right.
Like, I guarantee you, Christensen is going to walk out the door. Someone's going to pay him, and he's going to start somewhere. And it's not going to be us, dude. That pisses me off. Anyone who's been a long-time listener of this show knows that I've been a Christensen defender forever, dude. I wanted him to play left tackle when we drafted him in 2020 when Matt Rule said he had T-Rex arms. So, man, it sucks, man. We're really going to have to pay attention and close to this center position. And
how bad is a torn bicep?
Not great.
Because I know, look, this is going to sound, this is going to be an unpopular position. But, look, Brady Christensen's going to want to get the max he can get. He's not necessarily on the best of terms with, like, trusting the Panthers and what they're going to do with him, right? So I feel like you can scratch his name, Brady Christensen, off the list. Bradley Bozeman, scratch his name off the list. I like him, but too nice. I need a mean mug. I almost say this is, could we bring back Austin Corbett on a 1-year deal and draft a kid?
I'm not mad at it, man. I'm not mad, but Corbett even said, though, having a major injury pretty much every year that he's been here, that doesn't bode well for him. But he did say that he wouldn't be opposed to coming back here either. So,
and not a long-term solution.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what if he could recover, I don't know how hard that is for a offensive lineman, a torn bicep. Obviously it was season ending, but he's 30. I don't know. He's probably older. He's probably 33. What if we can get by with 1 season or 12 games with him, and then the rookie you drafted in the 3rd gets his opportunity? I don't know. I'm not entirely opposed to the idea. I need some more information on injury replacement or recovery from that injury.
Yeah. You want to take another call?
Let's go.
Panther Nation, it's your boy Josh from Math.
What up, Josh?
Man, it's Tuesday, and I guess we're keeping Evero around at least another year, but did fire the outside linebackers coach, did fire the safeties coach, and it looks like we got rid of a bunch of the health and fitness training staff too, which come to find out they're holdovers from the Rule era, so maybe a bit overdue. And I mean, you look at it, that kind of was the problem with the defense this year, was it not? Because nobody was healthy. I know DJ Wanham was something that we couldn't control, and that was a severe enough thing where you gotta let the man heal up proper and do the due diligence there. But just how injured everybody on the team constantly seemed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And now we find out this man's gone. His people are gone. I think that's the biggest thing for me is people, what the changes on the defensive staff. But I don't know. Like I said, I think a lack of health and wellness on the team has really been the problem for the last few years, but this year in principle, really.
Yeah.
But man, and also, man, I meant to call last week, so I got to just throw it in there now. Yo, fuck them birds, yo. Fuck them birds.
Fuck them.
Sent them packing. They in Cabo. Fuck them. Drinking them little drinks with the fucking little umbrellas on them and shit on the beach. Send them birds south for the winter. No, but it's just a lot of optimism going forward, and I there's a couple of stink bugs out there who, let's go chase stink bugs. No, man, come on. Bryce looks damn good. The offenses look pretty solid. I mean, you got to remember, like, we won that game without Chuba. The team figured out a way. And I think because of the injury to Jonathan Brooks, we're probably going to see Sanders again next year. And, maybe that last game of him proving himself out a little bit there is kind of a necessity because, we want to go spend free agent money on a running back. If anything, free agent money should only be spent, like big free agent money should only be spent on a stud, proven DN, edge rusher, or a proven number one receiver type commodity. Anything else needs to be reasonable bucks. And I'm running out of time. Josh from Mass signing off. Keep pounding, motherfuckers. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding, baby.
Cody, this is the best part about one of my favorite parts about the calls that have been happening over the last 3 weeks. CK, when he jumped on the show, talked about the kind of the weight that's taken off of us in a sense as fans going into this offseason, going into a new year. The name of the show is How Much Potential Do the Carolina Panthers Have in 2025? What we've had for the last 3 weeks on the call in the calls are the heavy hitters, bro. The old school pipe hitting brothers that breaking knees in the calls. And look, these people have been listening the whole time. They've been part of the family the whole time. But we're talking about so much despair. Even the hardest pipe hitting brothers in the bunch are waiting and saving their energy for the right time. And we've gotten Chuck. We've gotten D. We got the Hope Dealer. We've got Josh from Mass. We've had calls from across the pond, right? Like this to me, you can almost, the pulse of Panther Nation can be felt in the calls. And CK was right from the beginning. The Miles Sanders discussion, I think y'all got to be cautious with it. And I'll just show this to you, is that I know he's under contract. But right now, Miles Sanders is going into the final. He's got 2 years on his deal. But really, the Carolina Panthers could cut him this year in 2025 and save over $5 million in cap savings before the June 1st cut. Yes, there would be $3 million in dead money. But I guess the question is can you sign a running back that can do what he does for your team and in that role for less than $5 million? I don't know if you can, but I look, I'm root for every player. I think Miles Sanders got dumped on by Panther fans so much in a circus, a shit show of what was 2023 and lost in 2024 because Chuba's killing it. And then Jonathan Brooks came out. I don't think Miles Sanders is a bad player, but I don't know if just sticking with it is necessarily like, oh, we just feel comfortable here.
Well, here's the thing is like he didn't really get much of an opportunity with a humming offense last year because of the injury. And right now, to your point, Tony, can you replace him with anybody of substance for less than $5 million? And is that savings going to be worth going after and wasting a draft pick on a running back?
No, you can't do that.
Right.
You did that last year, CK. You drafted. They can't do it 2 years in a row.
Right. So then you run into this whole thing where you would have to go free agency. And yeah, there's going to be some guys out there you could probably get. Like Blackshear would probably be more than happy to come back to the team,
but he's probably not as good. But you just need a guy that can be. Who was the guy that we had that we liked? Was Steve Wilkes, and then he went to. He came from the Falcons. And he came
Foreman.
Yeah.
Or no,
I
Mike,
mean, there is
Mike,
a
no, you're
running
talking
back.
about Michael.
Yeah,
It was
Michael.
Foreman. It was
No,
Foreman.
no. Well, Deontay
Foreman
came
came from the
Titans.
Bears.
No, he came from the Titans because he
Oh,
was
I thought it
behind
was from
Derrick
the
Henry.
Falcons. Anyway, either way, the point being is this: there are players that can be supplemental. The question is this: can you get a guy for $3 million that can be what Miles Sanders ultimately is in his role? And he's not going to be the starting guy, right? He's going to be a supplemental guy. And you're starting to get to the short hairs of the salary cap, and that $2 million savings might help you somewhere else. I'm not sitting here going, Miles Sanders is a lot to bring back because it's convenient.
Yeah.
All right, mic drop. Let's go to the next call then.
Let's do it. Tell me if we've heard this one.
CK, Tony Dunn, Cody Lack, the
What up,
C3
what up?
Legion. What's going on? This the Hope Dealer checking in real quick. Hey,
Dylan, what's up, bro?
wanted to reach out real quick, boys. So now that Tampa is out of the playoffs, which, you know, they can join us on the couch. I was thinking, had some questions for y'all today. What do y'all think the trajectory of the NFC South is this year, 2025 and beyond? I want to ask that because, you know, I look at Tampa as a good team, but after watching their game at home, losing the wild card round, I don't consider Tampa to be a great team or a juggernaut by any means. They're beatable.
No.
And so because of that, I wanted to see first and foremost y'all trajectory of the NFC South this year. Also, I wanted to see, you know, I didn't agree with the Evero move, but it is what it is. But wanted to see what y'all's thoughts are as far as the stability of the front office, if that'll help us next year. And then lastly, when it comes to the draft coming up, should we keep pick number 8 overall, or do y'all think they should trade back and get more assets?
All right,
so
incredible
those
call.
questions, you know, the outlook of the NFC South, number 1. Number 2, will stability and continuity help us? And then number 3, should we keep pick 8 or try to trade back to get more assets this fall? Anyway, boys, once again, it's the Hope Dealer checking in. Man, I love y'all. Love you, C3 Legion. Keep pounding.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Put that hope in my pipe, and I'm going to smoke it. Cody, let's start with the first, which is the trajectory of the NFC South. And we might as well, kind of dovetail that, not into what we think is going to happen in NFL playoffs, but the Buccaneers have won the division 2 years in a row, if I'm correct. I don't know how to feel about this as a Panther fan. Are you, as a Panther fan, only rooting for the Carolina Panthers? Are you someone who has rooted for, or look, I call myself a Baker Bottoms for fun, we having fun with the podcast and stuff. But then Sammy Dimes goes into Minnesota and is doing his thing like crazy. And both of these guys had tough weekends in the wild card round, particularly Sam Darnold. So are we rooting for these guys to fail because they're not with the Panthers? It's easier to root for Sam Darnold because he's not in the NFC South. But we go back to the trajectory of the NFC South. The Bucs, to me, were the tallest short kid. And the Bucs were a better team. And talk about injury, faced with injury and different things like that. Baker resurgence. I don't really think that the loss to the Commanders is something that we should just go, oh, it's Baker type thing, back to Baker. But I think the caller's right here is that the best team in the NFC South is just kind of good. Mediocre. The Bucs were mediocre in a sense. Now, maybe, you know what? Maybe I'm being wrong. They beat some of the best teams in the NFL this season. They beat Detroit. They have one of the top offenses in the league throughout a lot. Bucky Irvin, crazy. But they're going through a transformation. What do you think the trajectory of the South the NFC South, the Carolina Panthers, the Atlanta Falcons, the New Orleans Saints, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. To me, instability reigns in New Orleans. Uncertainty, should I say. Uncertainty. They're looking for a coach. They're looking for quarterback. They've got a lot of work to do. Tampa is the team that can win 9 games.
Yeah. I believe they're probably still going to fire Todd Bowles. I think that's going to happen. I really do.
They didn't make the playoffs like 4 years in a row.
Yeah, but I don't think they're doing that. I don't know, man. There's been a lot of talk that Bowles might be out. But I don't know. Well, that remains to be seen. I'll just keep it short and say it like this. To me, I'm going to go with the teams that look like they have the biggest potential bang at the quarterback position going forward. And that's the Carolina Panthers. And sadly enough, the Atlanta Falcons. Michael Penix, no, you said what you want.
That is insane.
No, I'm telling you.
One game.
No, I know what I'm talking about.
Baker is the best quarterback in the NFC South.
I said, no, he's not. I said that Michael Penix, when he was coming to the draft, was a great pick for the Falcons. That he has everything you want at the position, and that he needed some time to learn. I'm sorry. To me, Michael Penix has a much higher ceiling than Baker Mayfield. And granted, look, I don't want to be right about this. It's the fucking Falcons. There's no team I hate more than Atlanta. But if Michael Penix is going to continue to look like he did, I mean, the Saints don't have anything. And Spencer Rattler and Derek Carr, that's not going anywhere fast. Baker Mayfield is a good player, but I just don't trust him, man. Earlier this year when me and CK were arguing about Kirk Cousins and whether or not he is or isn't the best, and I'm like, look, I know he has a bunch of stats, but I don't trust that man with the game on the line and the ball in his hand. I feel that same way about Baker Mayfield. But yeah, CK, I know you're getting ready to dip a little bit, but you posted this in the chat earlier, and we're talking about if it's a quarterback's league, and right now the NFC South has some good quarterback play from Bryce Young. Would you explain kind of what we're seeing here in this?
Yeah, so this is basically talking about Bryce Young or any quarterback. You know, the entire thing is how they are going through their progressions, right? Are they just basically throwing to their first read and not, really taking the time to read the defense, or are they just somebody who's checking the ball down every single time they get an opportunity, or are they somebody who's maybe extending the play a little bit more by getting outside of the pocket? And Bryce Young scores really high on all of those categories. He's I don't know how they calculate the progression rate, but he's number 2 in the NFL, which based on what I'm seeing here, it means to me how quickly he's going through his progressions, or what percentage of his dropbacks are, being, not just hitch, throw the ball, right? It's a matter of him looking and reading and making sure he's getting it to the right position. What's more interesting to me than anything is one of the biggest things we hated about Bryce Young in his rookie season was, and at the beginning of this year, was his lack of willingness to get the ball down the field, and here, and what I mean by that is the checkdowns, right? The amount of times he would just throw the ball to somebody close within 5 yards and just check the ball down to, allow for something positive to happen was astronomical. Here we have him at 11.8% on his of his dropbacks or checkdowns. There's only a couple of people that have a better checkdown rate than him, and one of them is Baker Mayfield, and the other one is Caleb Williams. And that's significant to me because it's meaning that he is trusting his guys to get open down the field, where he wasn't doing that last year. He's getting past his first read. He's scrambling, giving an opportunity. By the way, scramble rate only better. There's only a few quarterbacks better than him, and they're all, you ready to hear the names of the people that are better as far as, let me rephrase, not better. They have a higher scramble rate. It's Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and Lamar Jackson. Those are the only people that have a higher scramble rate than Bryce Young. And right now, every single one of them are playing pretty decent football. So I'm happy with what we're seeing here, and quite honestly, I think that this shows what somebody was talking about earlier, which is I think this tells me more that he is going to be along the lines of a Drew Brees type of a quarterback, more so than we were expecting him to be.
Here's the hoping, man. Dude, these numbers, part of them don't even feel real because it's like we saw how bad it was. But if he can continue this pace from the start of the season next year, dude, we can be in for something big, man.
Yeah.
I love y'all's.
I hope it happens.
I feel like you're just all on Penix in one game. You're like, Penix is this. Look, I'm very excited about Bryce. But Bake is cooking. He's been cooking.
Yeah.
So, don't shit on him just because you don't want to like that team.
Yeah.
DK, I know you got to run, bro. Say your goodbyes. We love you. We love your family too.
I think Cody, I want to make this point. I think Cody's not wrong about Penix. I think he does have an opportunity to be a really good quarterback, and he is
a gunslinger too.
Yeah, we saw the makings of a guy who can throw the ball down the field, who has an accurate, release. I think there is a potential storm brewing in Atlanta with Michael Penix. Now, I still think that it's not a shadow of a doubt in my mind right now. Baker is still the bona fide best quarterback in the NFC South.
Agreed.
And until somebody dethrones him, I don't think that you can say anything other than that. Kirk Cousins, unfortunately, he's
gone. Kirk Cousins is done.
Yeah, he's done. I think clearly that Achilles tendon was something that hindered his progression, because the dude was certainly not as bad as he is. I don't think he's ever been as bad as he was down the stretch for Atlanta with any other team in the NFL. So, guys, I'm going to hop out of here. You guys have a great Tuesday evening, and enjoy the games this weekend. And we'll be back at it Tuesday next week to chop up all this stuff. But guys, hang out with these boys and treat them well for me.
We love you and your Matt bald head.
Brother.
Yeah. All right, boys. Later.
All right, later.
Later.
Cody, the next question, though, that the caller posed was about stability in Evero. Just, and without getting too deep into the Evero weeds and how bad the defense is, one of the problems of building the show tonight was finding things actually to talk about. And I guess maybe we're not looking for a defensive coordinator right now. It's like you're looking for players. You got a coordinator that is respected among people in the league. Whether CK and I believe that last year's defense was fool's gold, which we both do. He's not. He's shown that he's capable of his job, like at the position. So maybe the Panthers are saying, hey, let's work on getting players first.
Yeah.
So stability at that position. And what was the third part of the question? The third part was,
in the call.
It was stability.
Right. I know we talked a lot about the NFC South.
No, we did NFC South trajectory, stability at that position, and anyway. Hope that we deliver a better product than forgetting the third part.
Cody, I'm also doing like 9 things at the same time. So.
Yes, you are. And by the way, Cody has helped me so much. This Papa is a Rolling Stone, and where he lays his head, he calls his home. So Cody has been carrying a lot of water from the well to the C3 Panthers podcast. I appreciate it, brother. Let's go to the next call.
Again, tell me if we've heard it.
CK, Tony Dunn.
Yeah, we heard that one.
Yo, what's going on, P3? It's Anthony from Charlotte.
What up, man?
Boys are having a good Tuesday. Just wanted to call in. Just got done with class. Just wanted to talk some Panthers. So it's definitely going to be an interesting off season. Less than 2 months until legal tampering, so this is exciting. As you know, we've gotten rumors about some stuff about receiver already, and everyone in our chat like talking about, oh, what do we do here on defense and this and that, and I just want to give my take on it. You know, first off, I respect everyone's opinion in the C3 Legion, Panther Pickle, all you guys, man. And I get there's some concerns. There's some we got some older folks too who are fans of the Panthers, and they're used to a different style of football game. So I feel like when I'm a younger guy, and you know, I'm not gonna lie to you, obviously, like I'm more favorable towards offense. I grew up playing receiver when I did play football at a young age. Like that was just always my inspiration towards football. Like obviously I love watching defenses too, but like, you know, the argument like about the wide receiver thing, the only reason I'm so in the Panthers maybe so hard-headed on this, like we got to get this done like I am, is because look, you got to start following the formulas of these other teams around the league, right? Like Josh Allen's first year struggle, second year showed he can be that guy. Third year with Diggs, once they got Diggs in the top 5 combos. Hurts, same thing. Tua, same thing. There's other examples I can't really think of. Oh yeah, when the Seahawks traded for Percy Harvin back in the day in Russell Wilson's third year, there's tons of examples. You gotta follow the good formula that these teams do, and I just feel like there's nothing wrong with trying to maximize Bryce Young. Like he's coming off a 21 touchdown season and only, you know, really 10 games played because the first 2 were horrible. Like you gotta just get him something. Get him someone like that. Like talk, at least try for T. Higgins. Have some conversations with his agent. Call up the Jets. See what they would want. Like talk to some guys. Like there's nothing wrong with trying to get a guy with a confident coming off the best. Get a guy for your quarterback who's coming off the best game of his career, the most confident he's been up to this point. Like I feel like we can only go up with this. So I understand fans don't want to pay the price or do this, or all we do is talk about offense. But to be honest with you guys, this is the price of doing business. You know, you get the good product if you pay the good money. The defensive side, listen, if you do that, go draft 8 defensive players. Like, get all these guys on cheap rookie deals. I just feel like the free agency talent's better for offense this year. Give me your thoughts.
Keep motherfucking pounding because you know that's what he was going to say. Yeah, Tony. So again, if
you're talking about youth, all right. Look, is what Anthony is running into. Is Anthony is a second generation.
Also, but you don't know is that this conversation specifically, the boys have been going off in the C3 Legion chat talking about defensive scheme and what we need to prioritize and what isn't good for the Panthers, and it's revealed something of a generational divide, I think.
Well, I think this is great, actually. I think this is a good sign for Panther Nation is that what you're starting to see are generational Panther fans, right? Is that you're seeing people who saw the Panthers at one point. And look, is that if you want to talk about that pipe, those hard pipe hitting brothers defenses, those were 2003, those were 2013 and 2000, and I would say 2015 wasn't a pipe hitting defense. It was a flashy make money defense, man. These guys were making money on pick sixes and stuff like that. What I love about this call too, and the background to it, is that he's talking about generational differences within Panther fans. That means we have generational Panther fans.
Yeah.
And that is incredible. Like, you know, there are old hats and they're young hats, but there's also like in between, like now we're getting baby hats. Like, and Anthony is young. I would call him a baby because I'm older, right? But he's a man. That was a man. You know what I'm saying? Like he's been on the sticks with us on our podcast when we were at training camp and stuff. Like he has been around for a minute on the podcast. So he's not a boy, but like we heard Noah's voice turn from a boy to a man. You know what I'm saying? Like we heard him grow up. That's what the fear has been for us as Panther fans with the slide and the terribleness is how do you cultivate younger people to have the investment, right? And so, Anthony, you're the bridge, baby. You're the bridge between the old and the young, because you're the one that can translate the hip turns for us, but you're starting to get unhip yourself, bro. And before you know it, you'll be like, I want to run the ball.
Yeah, you'd be like, holy shit, I'm 30-something. What are all these young 20-year-olds fucking?
I know. So I love, actually, that call just helps my soul as someone who's been doing a podcast for 11 years and watching the trajectory of the team, the trajectory of the fans on the internet. Call of the night right there for me. Let's go.
All right, let's take another one.
Yo.
Yep.
Hey, guys. It's the girl that makes somehow, a.k.a. Joey the Blind Panther. And I want to talk about a conversation that I had at work today with, a fan of a certain team who's very delusional and, y'all know the ones. But this guy was talking shit about how I'm a Panther fan and I have no room to talk. And I told him, I said, well, we have an answer at quarterback. We know what we need to do to fix our team. And we have a general manager who we're confident in is going to do what he needs to do to fix it. I don't think y'all can say the same thing. And the point of this isn't to compare this, the Panthers to this team that shall not be named. The point of it is to say that when's the last time that you can clap back with that as a Panthers fan? In that you're confident in your quarterback, you're confident in your front office, and you're confident in your coach. God, it's surreal. It really is surreal, and I can't wait to see what we are next year. And Bryce Young will forever be the king of keep pounding for all the shit that he has gone through, and from where he came, he will forever be the king of keep pounding, especially if he keeps on the positive trajectory that he's on next year, which I think he will. I might have to call him again to talk about him specifically. But anyway, guys.
Shout out to our boy Joey the Blind Panther. Wakanda forever, brother. Tony, you have anything you want to say before we go to the next one?
No, let's push through. He said he might call back. I would say Wakanda forever.
Yo, my C3 family.
What up, D?
Sanford, North Carolina. AKC3D Money. Shout out to the great Tony Dunn, the homie Cody Lack. DK Cole. Yes. And the whole C3 family, Diesel Skills, my brother from another mother, and Cole. When we start talking potential, ain't nobody better than me to come talking about potential. Because, see, when I start thinking about potential, I start thinking about that dog named XL. Mr. Take the Clothes Off of him. And I believe Mr. Take the Clothes Off of him is going to develop into a great receiver and take the top off of him for us next year. Just another viable target for Bryce Young. I feel that the maturation process of Bryce Young will continue to advance. It will elevate and take us to levels that we haven't seen in a very long time within Panther Nation. I also do believe that Chuba Hubbard will come back and be a steady presence for us. I do believe that the potential is the sky is the limit for us. I believe in Dan. I believe in the cap guy, Brent Tillers. I believe in Dave, that they will allow and bring in the best people. If you don't like Evero, that's fine.
Yes, Lord.
Because maybe we can just get enough talent in spite of the scheme and who the deep coordinator is. But see, the thing that everybody's got to understand, there's a new energy. See, Bryce running around here, he's a little bit taller than he was just a week ago. He got a little swagger with him now. He's kind of getting the city now. You got XL, who was disappointed in some of his own performances, a guy that looks like he puts the work in. Shoot, he injured himself last preseason trying to grind for this team. I have no doubt he's going to elevate. Young guys like Trevin Wallace, Mike Jackson, if we can bring him back, oh, how I pray we bring him back. See, what I'm trying to tell you is there should be hope. And the hope is permeating all through that 704. The sky's the limit. Dan's going to make the moves. I love every single one of you. Keep pounding.
Keep pounding. Listen, man. That dude is, he keeps us going, man, with that optimism.
Nah,
you have to have
beyond that.
You have to have guys that are believing, even when it doesn't feel like there's something to believe in. But he's not wrong, Tony. We do have things to build upon. There are things to be hopeful for. He mentions Mike Jackson, Trevin Wallace, Bryce Young looking bigger than he ever has. He's not wrong. We do have something to hang our hat on, but we're jaded, man. We need these Panthers to come out and prove it to us before we just outright say, yeah, this is someone, or this is an overall team that we can believe in going forward in the future. We want to see it first.
The only thing I want to say about this is, D, love you, brother. Love so many people that listen to this podcast that are truly my friends, man. Real friends. And I'll give you this story and I need to call and check in on Greg. I try to call in and check on him. Right. I got to call and check in on Greg, the Bat Daddy, the Stat Daddy, our brother. But we hung out on this podcast for a minute, and I had not met Greg in person until that 2023 training camp. Right, where we drafted Bryce, and when we hugged like brothers. D sent me a message today, and I've got a lot of crap going on in my life, and everybody does, so it's not like I'm whining about it. But I will say I get anxiety when it comes to group text messages, and I'm there's so many in my DM. I've gotten to the point where I opening Twitter makes me I need a Xanax, bro. I don't look at half of them, and I've lost because I'm scared to look at those damn group texts. I've missed individual DMs, but I opened Twitter and I was trying to clear something out today. And D sent me a message just as a friend, bro. Just as it was nothing. It was the most important message I've had in a long time. But it was just genuine, authentic, we're boys. You know what I mean? There's nothing but look, It was the Greg hug. And so D, you are us, we are you, we are fam, number one. And my advice to people listening to this is send somebody a message that you love or they care about, you know what I'm saying, that you're friends with, because they busy, they're busy, you're busy, and just getting that in your life I wish I would have been the one sending it. That's what I'm saying is I wish I would have been the one that sent it to you, D. You the man. D's ill skills there. So, Cody, let's go to the next call.
Final call.
Oh, no. One more just came in, by the way. So, you have to download one more.
All right. I got you.
Hey, guys. Chuck from Louisville City. I'm watching the show with you guys, and I just had to say one thing. I agree 1,000% with Cody. Listen.
Of course you
Brady
do.
Christensen, it would be a mistake if he walked. The guy's got to stay. And I will be pissed too if he leaves because I just don't think we utilize the guy like we should. So it's something that I'm just, something that has to be said. Christensen is not being utilized this time in Carolina. If he walks and goes somewhere else, he will be a starter somewhere else and thrive. And it's just something I see that's got to be looked at because it's ridiculous. We get these talented players in here. We never play them up to their potential. We never use them. And I could go down the list of players we've done this to. And we just don't utilize our draft position on these players and run them for our starters. And it's something that's got to be done. It's got to be taken care of.
Continued talk about the center, Brady Christensen. I really just don't know how you bring Brady Christensen back just in the face of the disrespect. You're like, oh, we'll pay you, we'll match, we'll do I mean, you could do unrestricted, you can do some things. But Cody, why pay a guy that they never even gave any respect to or any faith to the whole time?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
why come back to a team?
Yeah, I don't believe it.
Take their money.
And by the way, 3 different coaching staffs.
Yes,
they failed to say, okay, well, let's give the dude a chance.
Cade Mays.
Yeah, Cade Mays got the center beforehand. If I'm Christensen, I'm piecing the fuck out of it.
Do you remember Savala?
Yeah, man.
Where was that dude at? Do you guys remember how everybody told us Savala was going to be a guy that's going to start?
Yeah.
Have you heard his name in forever?
No, man. I don't think we should expect to hear
his
name anytime soon, really, either, man. Especially when you're out, just went out and got Lewis. And
right. But do you remember how many? And you know what? I mean, again, I guess maybe I am petty, maybe I'm not. I don't.
What are the chances of maybe playing Zavala at center?
I don't even know if he's on the team, bro. And I feel like we were shamed by other Panthers podcasts for like being like, oh, Savala. I was like, I don't care about this Savala guy, this and that. And they're like, Savala truth. Do you remember how many truther Savala people were?
They went in there.
They had like 900 false starts and holdings and this and that. And they're like, no, Brady Christensen sucks. Brady Christensen sucks. I'll let you reevaluate your own reasons why you thought one person was better and one person wasn't. Maybe look, you're a man in the mirror, folks, who said that. But I don't even remember Zavala's name being called this year. Maybe one game.
Yeah, I don't really remember it either.
Come on, like, you know what I'm saying?
No, I think it was. Chat,
boo-hoo.
help me out. I want to say there was a time when he did play some snaps this year, and PFF actually rated him
week 1 or 2.
high.
But have you heard his name ever since? No,
and you shouldn't expect to hear it going forward. You know,
Savala, Wahala. Let's go to the next caller.
Last one.
Oh, motherfucking, oh my God. What is it? Oh, motherfucking Mickey. What's up, C3? My motherfucking niggas, huh? Hey, you already know, huh? I ain't no free tickets to this right here, Club Mickey. But, to get on topic, how much potential do the Panthers have in 2025? I feel like if we can get a #1 wide receiver and, a good defense, we can do what we can do. I like Bryce Young. Bryce Young is my motherfucking nigga, huh? Just like y'all do, you C3. But, that's how much potential I think we got. And, if we don't do something at the defense, it's gonna be 2024 over again. Huh? Hood Mickey's out. Hood motherfucking Mickey. Keep pounding, keep motherfucking pounding.
Keep motherfucking pounding.
Hood Mickey.
Shout out to Hood motherfucking Mickey. That's my dog right there, boy. Man, that dude be rolling deep on the Saturday.
I tell you this, you know what? If you don't like Hood Mickey as a caller, get in them calls and bring some personality.
Yeah, man, look, let me tell you, Hood Mickey's not wrong. We got to build up this defense so it's going to be looking just like 2024, bro. We can't have that shit. Shout out to Hood Mickey. That motherfucker knows what he's talking about.
I like intercolor beefs. I want you to be like, if you're in the chat saying, oh, I don't like Hood Mickey, then get up there and be Hood Goofy. Get up there and make that better call. Next week we'll be here on Tuesday nights taking those calls. And you can even be on the Friday free-for-all. You hold a mask up. What would Hood Mickey look like? Would it be like wearing red or blue bandana? I don't know. Oh,
we don't know. We have to ask him. We don't want to put the wrong set on Mickey. You know what I'm saying? You don't do that. You know what I'm saying? We got to be careful. We don't. Hey, how about this? We don't know which hood Mickey comes from.
Oh,
Okay.
And you know what? It's like Ice Cube would say, every hood is the same. Every hood the same. This is filled with drugs and guns. All right, Cody, do we got more calls?
No, we have no more
All right,
calls.
perfect. Let's finish the show out. Y'all want to
Yeah.
stick around for this ice. Tony coming.
All
at
right,
you.
man.
Ice back.
FanDuel Sportsbook put out teasing NFL teams based on their chances to win a Super Bowl in the next 5 years. They put out a little list. Let me enlarge this here.
Who cares?
I mean, this is based on like
is silly. All right.
No, this is the best. This is in the next 5 years. What teams are poised to look good and be good? Now, some of these are dumb as fuck to me. Some of them are cool, but a lot of them is just pacing.
Falcons, Panthers.
Yeah. Why are the Dolphins ahead of us?
Patriots. Look, we're in the same category as the fucking Patriots, bro.
Yeah, same as the Jaguars.
Move on. I don't even want to talk about this. This is crazy. If we win the Super Bowl in the next 5 years, you know what? I am going to go nuts on this podcast. If we win it in the next 10 years, I'm going to go nuts on this podcast. Please, please, please give us a Super Bowl.
49ers are interviewing former Panthers interim head coach and special team coordinator Chris Tabor.
I thought he was great when he was here, actually.
Yeah, he was.
Was part of, though, and I can't remember, wasn't he the interim head coach when they fired Matt Rule?
Yeah, he was the interim coach. Yeah.
And then you had that inner office politics with the offensive line coach. Look,
No, not Matt Rule, Frank Reich. Because when Matt Rule was fired, Steve Wilkes became.
You're right. It was the Frank Reich. I like Chris Tabor. I do. I think that offensive line, I just don't want to get too much into inter-office politics, but he's done it. He's had good special teams everywhere he's gone. Chris Tabor, God bless you. Good luck to you.
All right, man.
This fucking playoff
matchups. I'm into it. I like the playoffs so far, man. Do you want to run through these real quick? Yeah, man.
Yeah, I do. We'll talk about each. Let's just go through each one real quick, fast, and then I'll talk about what I want to talk about when we talk about the team they beat. Let's start with Texans Chiefs.
Yeah, Texans Chiefs 4:30 on ESPN, ABC, ESPN Plus. I mean, come on.
The Texans are not an easy beat, bro.
No, they're not, and I do think Stroud's playing better now than it was at the end of the season.
Man, you know what? And he's played. I don't want to hear this bullshit. This is kind of Panther fans being like, "Oh, look,
being petty."
Stroud was on. Of course, he's going to regress to the mean a little bit, right? Like when you have such an epic first season, what is he going to throw 6,000 yards?
They're also missing two of their best wide receivers on the team.
You know what is this? That team is gritty, bro. They have found ways to win, and I just wouldn't underestimate them. And they're on a 3rd and 15 or something from the snap is fumbled. Like the snap comes up, hits Stroud in the face. He picks it up, rolls out. He's running for his life. You think he's just going to throw the ball away, and the mug converts the first down. Don't fucking underestimate the Texans. I know they're not sexy. I know that they just haven't just blown out teams. They're not terrible, though. And they put it on the Chargers, bro. The Kansas City Chiefs are a good team. They're not incredibly great. I think the Chiefs win here, Cody, but I don't think the Texans are a rollover game.
I think it'll be competitive early, and then I think in the second half the Chiefs are just going to pull away.
I don't even know about that. I think
I don't
down to the end. Like Patrick Mahomes just gets Mahomes.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love for the Texans to pull off the upset. I'd be fucking geeked. Then you would have the playoffs going through Buffalo. Should they beat the Ravens? But yeah, man, like wanting one hand, shit in the other. I feel like
the better team.
No, we already know Look, I already have a team. I have a team that I'm pulling for in the playoffs. That I want to win the whole thing. But we already know the Chiefs are probably going to win the fucking whole thing again for the third year in a row.
Maybe. But everybody wrote the Texans off in that Chargers game.
Yeah.
Completely. And I would say they're a team that finds ways to win and finds ways to compete. So I just don't think the Chiefs blow them out here. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think the Texans are as bad as we think.
All right. So we're both picking the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Then the late matchup on Saturday, the Washington Commanders and Jaden Daniels versus the Detroit Lions, the number 1 seed. Tony, this is a tough one, dude.
No, it's not tough. It's easy to pick. We picked the Lions. We're rooting for the Commanders.
Dude, I feel about the Commanders the way you do about the Texans. This is a team right now that you don't want to see. I'm not doubting the Lions. I'm just saying Jaden Daniels and this Commanders team, that's a gutsy-ass football team. They have good players. Jeremy Chin and Frankie Louvu have been balling out. Dan Quinn has had a great year as their new head coach. I'm just saying, dude, I'm saying it's going to be competitive.
I don't know if it's going to be competitive.
Dude,
I don't know if it's going to be competitive, Cody. I think the Lions will win this game, should win this game, but I'm rooting for Jaden Daniels. And what I see is Jaden Daniels, they're going to use his legs in this game. Keep that Lions offense off the field, extend drives. Jaden Daniels, an exciting player as a rookie. I believe the Lions win this, should win this, but I'm rooting for Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. Frankie Louvu, haka, Jeremy Chin, all that. The next one, bro, the Chargers and the Eagles. I don't even want to talk about the teams that are playing. I want to talk about how the Chargers smoked the fucking not the Chargers, the Rams. The Rams and the Eagles. Smoked the Vikings.
Vikings, yeah.
It got out of hand. And you know what? I'm going to say this, and I don't know. We're going to have to talk to some Viking fans, some Viking podcasters, but their offensive line let them down. I know, and maybe I'm just hoping Sammy Dimes is that guy that can save a career and this and that. But this dude was seeing ghosts again.
Bad, dude.
I don't think it was just him playing bad. Yes, it was. He didn't play well, but he was getting beat the fuck up.
Yeah, but also the week before that, he didn't look good either.
Again, getting beat the fuck up.
Yeah, man. But dude, that's how it goes, man. Like this year, Justin Herbert hadn't thrown 3 interceptions all year. And then he threw 4 of them in one game. So, you know what I mean? It's like, dude, it's a slippery slope when it's playoff football.
The Eagles are the best team.
I know that everybody's saying the Eagles might be the best team in football.
They are.
And they might be. They have the best defensive line.
It's the Eagles and the Ravens.
Maybe.
That's what I think. I think it's easy to think Lions. But, obviously there's 3 best teams. Lions, Eagles, Ravens. And I think Ravens and Eagles are the better team. I think the Lions just have a storyline that's so endearing that we want to believe they're even better than they are.
So the Rams, they're playing their best football right now. Like literally at the end of the year, like these are one of those teams where, like, remember when the Giants won it with Eli and they snuck in at like 9-7 or something like that. Like that's how the Rams feel. They have an aggressive defense. They have good players on both sides of the ball. They have 2 rookie defensive linemen from Florida State that are balling out. I really think that the veteran experience of Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp has been paying some dividends. Fuck it, Tony. I'm calling the upset, damn it. I'm calling the upset. Fuck them. I got the Los Angeles Rams in the upset over the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's go. Give
me the Eagles and transitioning to what arguably is the
Dude, this is the game
best
of the
game
year,
to watch.
man.
Like the headline of the NFL wants to pump this game up.
If you're not pumped up for this game, or you're even alive, dude, like, come on, man. Those, you said the Eagles and the Ravens might be the best team in football. Dude, you have to put the Bills in there, too. And they've already beaten the Chiefs, and they either beat the Ravens or Philly earlier this year. But they've beaten the best teams in ball, dude. And Josh Allen.
They are good. They are very good. They remind me a lot of a Panthers team. And think of Brandon Beane being in the front office, Josh Allen carrying everything, Cam Newton-esque. I'm not trying to diminish who the Bills are and how good Josh Allen is. But think about this, is you're looking at the two MVP candidates of the year.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. And
who's your MVP, Tony? Who won the MVP?
I know people aren't going to like this. I think it's Lamar.
Chat, who's going to win the MVP?
No, not win it. I don't think
Lamar Jackson.
I think Lamar is the MVP. And I think we also need to change the awards, Cody. I think we need to have a quarterback award and then an MVP, because like Saquon should be the MVP, non-quarterback MVP. I think Josh Allen gets it because Lamar's had it twice. And look, what Josh Allen has done has been incredible. But Lamar has had an incredible season that's almost – look, the Ravens are such a fucking good team, and we don't even talk about them. Think about that. Like, they are the third – like, could be – there's an argument they're the best team on this whole page right now. But they have not somehow been the sexy team in the process.
Well, dude, the combination of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry in that backfield, it's as lethal as everybody thought that it would have been when you heard about it.
We just wanted that for Cam.
I know.
You remember?
We could have had Derrick Henry.
Mel Mayock wanted Derrick Henry on this podcast. Think about Cam Newton and Derrick Henry.
Oh, dude.
The King and Superman together.
Oh, that would have been legendary, man.
I'm going to say this. The Ravens win.
I'm going Buffalo. I'm pulling for Buffalo through the whole rest of the way. I want them to win the whole thing.
That's fine. I like Lamar. I'm kind of pulling for the Ravens.
I put on Twitter, I'm like, are you even a Panthers fan if you're not pulling for the Bills? Because, dude, they have Curtis Samuel, they have Brandon Beane.
I don't care about Curtis Samuel.
McDermott. Dude, they got everybody.
On my team. They ain't on my team. All right.
Go Bills. I'm going Bills over Ravens. So, just so we're clear, I've got Kansas City, Detroit, the Rams, and the Bills.
I got Kansas City, Texans being tough, Lions, I'm pulling for the Commanders, Eagles, I think it's a blowout there, Ravens in the game of this year right here against this is the Super Bowl.
Dude, this is the matchup.
That's like, to me, this is my Super Bowl matchup.
Yeah.
This week.
Yeah, no, I'm into it, dude. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, Tony, there's only one more deed left to be done before we wrap up the C3 Panthers podcast for tonight. You ready to ice some fools up?
Let's go.
All right.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
It's our homage to Steve Smith, where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up to get it together. It's the time where we can step outside the bounds of football. Actually, it's our podcast. We can do whatever we want all the time. But we reserve this moment to tell someone to ice up, toughen up to get it together. Anybody is fair game. I've iced up a 12-year-old kid in Oklahoma. I've iced up myself. We're going to ice some fools up, Cody. I got one from the heart tonight. So bring your fun in.
Go ahead.
Okay.
We Yeah, I can go first. If we can.
I don't care. I mean, I'm ready for mine. You're just gonna have to get ready for it.
Well, which one? Mine's serious, but absurd.
I'm ready.
Do your thing, man.
All right. Tonight, I want to talk about integrity. Really, what it means to be of character, someone of substance, someone of principle. And certainly, we all stray in our lives from moments where we wanted to be of stronger integrity, of stronger character. But I got to tell you, I'm just going to give you a hypothetical metaphor, a hypothetical situation. Imagine someone who had been married for imagine someone who had been married for 18 years. Imagine a person who had been with that person for over 20 years. And imagine that person being an incredibly devout Panther fan, to the level that that person might even have a podcast. I don't know. Imagine that. Just imagine a person like that, and someone who shared those experiences with you. I want to tell you this, is that this hypothetical situation, now let me gather my emotions.
I don't know what we're talking about here.
Oh, wait, just wait. Oh, man, just wait. And tell you what, the most treacherous, scandalous, hoest, whatever thing you can think of. Imagine that in that situation. Imagine that person, those people parting ways, right? No problem. No skin off your back. But imagine after that, said person goes to Atlanta Falcons versus the Carolina Panthers game, and potentially could be with some, who cares who they're with, don't care about it. But imagine someone who 20 years of that commitment to someone maybe they care about, invested in the Panthers, they were invested themselves. They go to the Carolina Panthers versus the Atlanta Falcons in Georgia and wear a Falcons jersey.
What?
Wear a Falcons jersey, bro.
Wait, you're a Panthers fan?
No, you were potentially, hypothetically married to someone who had a podcast about the Carolina Panthers, who was a pretender.
Oh, okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down,
bro.
Oh man,
listen
just betrayal.
No, I mean what kind of person does that? I would say this is that is there an example of someone with less integrity? Is there an example of someone? I would say, you know what?
I can't think of it. I can't think of who would have less integrity than that.
First of all the things that could get this hypothetical person so mad,
say it, Tim.
Out of all the things,
makes you burn in hell.
Out of all the things, the level of anger that this hypothetical person had was more than all the treacherous, adulterous, scandalous shit that came out.
There are certain bridges that are too far.
I'm gonna ice up people of lack of integrity. I'm gonna ice up people that lack the principle. And I think that your commitment to a sports team is a reflection of your character. But I'm going to give Panther Nation a gift. A gift. The curse may have been lifted from the Carolina Panthers. Think about a mole, a traitor in the midst, And when they were revealed, the Panthers then beat the Falcons while they're at that game in
Atlanta
ugly jersey, keep them out of the playoffs, and hope rises for Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. Hope rises for the C3 Panthers podcast. You know what? The curse. We had a traitor in our midst. Ice up.
Ice up. Whoever Tony's talking about, like Kev said, that's a dirty bird right there.
It's a dirty bird.
That's a dirty bird, boy.
Is a hoe a word for a bird? I don't know.
I mean, shit. You know they call them chicken heads back where I come from.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's a bird if I ever heard one.
All right.
But listen,
all
man.
All
right, so my ice up. One, thoughts and prayers. Shout out to everyone in Los Angeles, dude. These fires are the biggest fires that the state has ever seen. They're saying it might be the most expensive natural disaster in our country's history. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. And you know, a lot of the people in power over in California have really come under a spotlight. You know, people are looking at these people and who they are and what they believe and how good they are at helping other people, or maybe how not good they are at helping other people, and some of the wild shit that's coming out of some of these people's mouth. I want to introduce you to Los Angeles Fire Department Assistant Chief Kristen Larson, who, well, let's just say she has an interesting theory about men who get stuck in fires.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit.
That's not even a real firefighter. That
understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire. Which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
Hold on. Can you rewind that? That person right there is in 911. That's a show my daughter watches. That girl, that is a fake firefighter.
Wait, hold on. This person?
No, not that one. The one that they B-cut. The B-roll.
All right, but this person is a real person.
No, but then they B-roll to even fake
firefighter.
Yeah,
some faker bullshit. So again, just so we're clear as to what she said.
Somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire. Which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
So he got himself.
How many ice up pics are just on looking at her as she says that?
You're just looking at her face, and you know what? She's right. When someone's saving you from a fire, you want someone who looks like you and who knows the things that you're going through. If ever I'm in a fire, I want my fireman to be disabled and in a wheelchair, dude. That's what I want. So that way they know what I'm going through in the moment. That way they can also know how fucking terrified I am.
And how fucked you both are at that
building is burning down around me, dude. I want them to know exactly what that's like. Dude, can you fucking believe the absurdity of the world that we live in? Why does anyone care what the people that are hired to rescue you and your family? Who cares what they look like?
Well, what about this? She also said this, is that the person that you're saving doesn't deserve to be saved.
Yeah, like if you're a man and you need someone to carry you out, why were you even in the position to need saving?
Do you know, imagine if you...
It's a literal victim shaming.
Yes, and imagine if you would have tweaked the words in a different way. How absurd it would have been. How about this? Is we just be compassionate.
Yeah, man.
To all people of all races, colors, creeds, and all of that.
But
don't have us be you ashamed for you. What the firefighter says this. Sorry. You know what? You should be able to get your own ass out of this fire.
Yeah, like what does that even mean? It's so stupid, man. If someone's saving your life, dude, I don't care if you're gay, straight, black, purple, just save my ass, man.
Yeah, but
That's
also
the only thing I
that person
care
is
about.
saying this is that the person saving their life is irritated that they're a man.
Yeah,
So like,
dude.
you should have saved your own life. Well, I would have if I could have, mug.
Great job by California hiring only the best and the brightest out there, man. But
Yeah.
that's it, man. Ice up to Christine Larson, Los Angeles Fire Department assistant. Tony, that's it, man. We're done with another show.
C3 Panthers Podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Every Tuesday night, we're here at 9 p.m. chopping up the latest Panthers news and opinions. Cody Latch hosting the Friday Free-For-All on Friday. That's what it's called, the Friday Free-For-All. Thank you for your support. Smash the thumbs up, sub up. Cody Latch, take us out of here.
C3 Legion, we love you. Keep pounding, baby.